Breaking right now.
We're told to stay inside. We're actually told to stay inside here at our studios.
Tonight, the standoff now over. Our studios and surrounding businesses in the line of fire as a man takes aim and fires towards officers.
Part of the city shut down and people trapped for hours. We'll tell you how the events unfolded.
So, God definitely intervened, and he used us to help locate those remains.
And we hear from the Chesterfield man who found the remains in the Hannah Graham case.
Richmond's #1 news at 11 starts from the Breaking News Center.
We begin with breaking news out of South Richmond, where a man is dead and the gunman still on the loose. You're looking at new video of the scene on the 600 block of Warwick Village Drive. This all unfolded just before 9 this evening, and police tell us the man was in his mid-20s that was killed. They say they will be canvassing the neighborhood for information that may lead them to the shooter.
We know of officers are still following leads, trying to find witnesses, people who might have heard or saw what went on.
Detectives are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 780-1000. Now we turn to brand new details on the standoff that shut down much of South Richmond. Mike Valerio is live for us on Midlothian Turnpike, where our studios were literally in the line of fire.
Well, Brittany, good evening. Let's show you the scene right here. A man essentially barricaded himself in the motel behind me, and a member of the SWAT team came up to me and told me that if you can see any of these windows, you are in the line of fire. That includes NBC 12, our studios just a block away, and a multitude of businesses. Now, I just confirmed with police moments ago, the homicide that you just told us all about is not connected to the standoff that we're talking about now. Police have the man who opened fire from this motel behind bars tonight. NBC 12's Susan Bahoric continues our coverage and tells us how this drama unfolded.
Police got the call here at the Cloverleaf Inn Motel at about 3:45 Sunday afternoon. Initially, it was for a domestic situation, but once officers arrived, it turned into so much more.
As officers arrived on scene, shots were fired and officers backed up and called for additional resources.
That triggered a nearly 3-hour-long standoff that shut down the usually busy Midlothian Turnpike from Covington to German School roads. Tara Marshall lives nearby. She wondered how she would get home. While she wondered, she had a front row seat to the action.
The window was open. You could see his window open, his curtains were open, and his light was on, and you could see people moving around in it.
Police say a man and a woman were at the motel and got into an argument. When help arrived, police say that's when the shots went off. At this point, police aren't sure if they were the target.
Right now, we're still investigating the exact sequence of things. I just know that as officers pulled up, there were shots fired.
Police negotiated with the suspect for several hours before officers say it was peacefully resolved.
He did surrender safely to police. He was taken into custody without anyone being injured, which is always what we want in a situation like this.
Police continue to investigate the situation. Meanwhile, the victim in this case is said to be okay. In Richmond, Susan Bahoric, NBC 12.
Susan, our thanks to you. Back here live on Midlothian Turnpike, we want to let you all know that we did talk to the manager of this motel over here. He said that all of his guests are fine at this hour, but he's a little too shaken up to go on camera. Now, we want to give you a little more context about where we're standing. The SWAT vehicle parked on my right. A man comes up to me where I'm standing right here in a helmet carrying his assault weapon and tells me essentially that if we can see any of these windows, that we're in danger. The man could be in any of these rooms, and that our crew, where we were standing right here originally around 4 o'clock, could be hit by gunfire. So that's when we essentially hightail it to our newsroom. They're telling us to just get out of there as fast as we can. And to show you how close we are, we're just a block away from our position here. Our tower, you can see the red lights blinking, the 700-foot tower that we use to broadcast this signal every night. So as soon as we got the word from officers in the SWAT team that it was not safe to stay right here anymore, we just go right back in. There are so many people watching from this corner as well as across the street, the Richmond Outreach Center across the street, and a service just wrapping up there as well. And that brings us to all of the businesses that had to shut down as well on Midlothian Turnpike. That means no customers, everybody simply staying in place. We spoke with a manager at a convenience store directly next to the motel where this all unfolded. Take a listen about what he had to say.
I mean, I didn't have any business for like 4 hours. It was, I mean, maybe a couple cops came in and bought a couple drinks of water, but it was just empty because I guess no one's allowed. For like the first couple hours, we weren't even allowed to leave.
And this was just one of several stores that were on lockdown during this active shooter situation. Some businesses that were further away continued on business as usual, but just to be clear, we had about 3 blocks of Midlothian Turnpike shut down for 3 hours and nobody knowing exactly what was happening and how dangerous this guy was. So everybody was essentially saying it's in our best interest to stay safe and stay exactly where we're positioned. Of course, we're going to bring you more details on this quickly developing story as the newscast continues, but for now, Brittany, let's send it back to you inside the studio.
Definitely a scary situation this afternoon. Thanks so much, Mike. And while Richmond police and the SWAT teams were working to control this standoff, our NBC 12 crew was just trying to find a safe way in and out of our building to bring that information to you. Happening just a block from our studios, we became personally involved.
It was right across the street from NBC 12 where I work.
Nikki Fairmand, a member of our production team, became a witness to today's standoff.
When I pulled up, I just saw a sea of blue, just police lights everywhere, cops were everywhere. I thought, what on earth could be happening?
Fairmand, along with the rest of our production staff and meteorologist Ross Runner, were on their way into work when they were stopped by police and told they were in the line of fire.
We couldn't even pull up to our parking lot, let alone anywhere near our parking lot.
Like many businesses along Midlothian Turnpike, NBC 12 was on lockdown. Police wouldn't even let us pass these doors for about 3 hours.
I basically called the producer and said, I don't think you're going to have weather tonight on the newscast because I cannot get into the building.
Finally, each of them were escorted by officers into the back of our building.
It hit me then when I walked into work that we were needed to air what was happening.
Walking in just in time for us to bring you the information live.
We're told to stay inside.
As it turned out, it was probably one of the most dramatic incidents I've ever been involved in.
Fortunately, everyone was safe. Still no injuries reported in that shooting. If you have our free NBC 12 News app, you were among the first to learn breaking details on this standoff. You can trust we are committed to following up on these stories, and we will update you later in this broadcast as necessary. Shifting gears now to a story we've been following since day one. At this moment, detectives for the Hannah Graham case are still vigorously combing the area where remains were uncovered yesterday. This case now, sadly, a death investigation. Take a look at this new video of investigators hunting for clues along Old Lynchburg Road. That's where the body was discovered on an abandoned property. Our Kelly Avellino is at a home minutes away from this site that neighbors tell us is very familiar to Jesse Matthew, charged with Hannah's abduction.
Jesse Matthew and his family lived at this home behind me on Ponderosa Trail just a few years ago, according to the neighbors and the people who live here now. And this spot is just about 4 miles away from where the remains were found. As investigators scour for any trace of evidence left at the scene, neighbors along this rural stretch are shaken.
It's kind of scary, because we got 2 young kids here and you got to be cautious with them.
Detectives are hoping to pinpoint forensic evidence tied to the remains, still not officially confirmed as Hannah Graham.
This morning I seen some people, 2 officers, clean the ditch lines out, checking for things.
This area is known to suspect Jesse Matthew, charged with Hannah's abduction with intent to defile. Neighbor Bernard Blue tells me Matthew, his sister and mother lived in this home just miles from where search crews made the gruesome discovery Saturday. Bernard is unsettled that the man he knew is now the main suspect in a high-profile case.
I never dreamed he would do something like that if he is guilty. Never dreamed of it, because he's a fine boy and he's up here.
Bernard tells me Jesse Matthews' mother also worked at UVA hospital and that she stayed in touch.
She was a sweet lady. She came up to see me about, I'd say 4 or 5 months ago.
But Bernard tells me Matthew left a somewhat different impression.
Yeah, he was a little strange, but I'll never find out, all I know.
Investigators believe Matthew was also forensically linked to the death of Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington and possibly another rape case. Meantime, the remains discovered after 35 days and thousands of man-hours of searching are awaiting a positive ID. Investigators are asking anyone who lives along Old Lynchburg Road who might remember anything suspicious about the night of September 13th to come forward and call the Albemarle Police Department. That includes any sign of someone who looked like Jesse Matthew. In Albemarle County, I'm Kelly Avellino for NBC 12 News.
Kelly, thanks. And the attorney for Jesse Matthew released a statement reading in part, quote, "I understand the search teams found remains on an abandoned farm in Albemarle County. We're waiting to see the results of the medical examiner's autopsy. No further comment." And today, the group of Chesterfield County Sheriff's search teams members made their way home. Our cameras were rolling as the group pulled into the department headquarters. Curtis McLeod spoke with the team about their discovery and what's next in the case.
It was just divine intervention. Something said to keep going, and we decided to keep on going.
It was that perseverance that led members of the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office to human remains on a farm in Albemarle County. Sergeant Dale Terry told us that he and the group had finished and gotten their cars, but decided to take another look around.
The team came back out. We kept going and pushed through the area, and we were happy that we were able to discover what we were discovered. So God definitely intervened. And he used us to help locate those remains.
Sergeant Terry would not go into details with us about what was found specifically, but did say that forensics teams were working to find DNA to see if the remains belonged to Hannah Graham. I spoke with NBC 12 crime analyst Bubba Bates about this recent development in the case and where things will go once the remains have been identified.
First and foremost, they're going to be trying to find something that will give them a DNA sample of a potential suspect. That DNA sample could come from the remains themselves. It could come from articles of clothing.
Bates also told me that the area where the remains were found will be searched extensively for potential evidence that could give investigators a better idea of how those remains ended up in this area. Meanwhile, the team from Chesterfield County remains humble, grateful that the short time they spent in the Charlottesville area will hopefully give someone's family answers that they've been searching for.
We're just happy that we were able to bring closure to someone's family, even if it wasn't Hannah, that those remains belong to someone, and we're just proud and happy that we brought some family closure.
Those remains again are being tested right here in Richmond. Albemarle County authorities tell us they should have the results sometime later this week. Police believe an argument at a party led to a triple shooting that left 2 dead this morning in South Richmond. When officers arrived on the scene on Westover Hills Boulevard just after 2:30, 2 men and a woman were wounded. The men died at the scene. The woman is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The investigation is still in its early stages, but anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. A single car accident takes the lives of 2 Mechanicsville men early this morning. State police tell us their car ran off Interstate 295 near Pole Green Road at about 4:15. It hit an overhead sign support, then caught fire. The driver, 35-year-old Derek Hall, and his passenger, 35-year-old Antonio Wallace, were both killed. No word yet on what caused the car to veer off the road. Right now, crooks are sending out emails claiming to be from Bank of America. Cyber criminals are after your cash and banking information. Up next on Your Side, investigator Greg Hall has the latest information on how to be proactive when you get the bogus emails. New at 11, I have a warning. Crooks are after your cash or your private banking information. On Your Side, investigator Greg Hall explains why you need to use caution the next time you log into your email.
At first glance, this email claiming to be from Bank of America just may fool you, but it's not from the bank. Cyber criminals are just after your cash or banking information. This bogus note tells you there's been irregular activity and you need to open an attachment. Remember, the bank will never send you an email like this, and it will never ask for your banking information. Never trust emails. If you think there is a problem, call your bank directly. Report this one to abuse@bankofamerica.com. We could all use $1 million, but if you see this email in your inbox, don't get excited. It's a scam. Cyber criminals claiming to be from Publishers Clearinghouse. We checked, and PCH will never email consumers about prizes. If you see this one, report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. This fake email just may also show up in your inbox. This one claims to be from the United Nations and says, your email address randomly won $750,000. Again, it is not your lucky day. There is no UN lottery, and the agency warns about these type of scams on its website. Don't reply. Again, report this one to ic3.gov. If you think you've been scammed, you have a consumer issue, you can email me, tweet me, or post a message on my Facebook page. On your side investigator, Gray Hall.
Accurate, reliable, trusted. Central Virginia's weather specialists. This is NBC 12 First Warning Weather.
And good morning, everyone. Here's the view from our NBC 12 Skycam. There's Midlothian Turnpike tonight. We have clear skies for the most part, and it is getting mighty chilly out there. In fact, we do have frost advisories in effect for about 9.
The CompareNow.com Sports Desk is sponsored by CompareNow.com. Real, unbiased car insurance comparison.
There's a whole new quarterback controversy in Washington.
And welcome back. I'm Mike Valerio live on Midlothian Turnpike, where before we go, we just want to give you a quick recap on the news that shut down much of the south side this afternoon into the evening. It started all over here on my right at the Cloverleaf Inn and Motel. 3:45, a call comes in to 911 of a domestic dispute. That's when officers arrive, and as soon as they get here, shots are fired in their direction. That's when the neighborhood is shut down. Good news here, the man behind this taken into custody as far as police have been able to tell us. We'll have more on the news tomorrow morning. But Brittany, that's the latest live from here. Let's send it back to you.
Mike Valerio out in the field. Thanks so much for that report. That does it for us at 11. Thanks so much for staying up with us tonight. As we head into the new week, remember you can get 12 News anytime on NBC12.com and through our free news and weather apps. 12 News Today begins at 4:30. Good night.